Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm bringing you another video for the Irish Readathon. You may notice that I'm in a different location to where I'm normally in. If you don't know why, I will leave that video linked in the description that explains why I am now at my mum's house. Not under ideal circumstances, but this is the first time I've actually been in Ireland for a portion of the Irish Readathon, so that's one bonus. Today I'm going to be recommending to you 5 Irish books that I think are quite underrated. If you have any recommendations for books you think people would like to read at the tail end of the Irish Readathon, do leave a comment down below. I'm always looking for more recommendations as well. But anyways, let's just get into the books. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Dancers Dancing by Eilish Ní Shomhna. I really loved this book when I read it. In fact, when I pulled this off my shelf, I was surprised by how many sticky tabs I had put in it. This is a really quiet novel that follows a group of teenage girls from various parts of Ireland when they come together for 1 month in the 1970s. They all go to what is called a Gaeltacht, which is basically kind of like, I guess how you would explain it, it's like a summer camp where you go to learn or improve your Irish language skills. It's about the girls learning about each other's different cultural experiences, particularly the difference between growing up south of the border and growing up in Northern Ireland. And while it touches on some very serious topics, it is essentially just this exploration of a month of these girls' adolescence where they're discovering more about each other, discovering more about themselves, experiencing things for the first time. It's the first time they have independence from their parents. If you like the TV show Derry Girls, this is probably the best book recommendation I can give for that show. I also want to recommend a middle grade series that I think is quite underrated, and that is the Perfect series by Helen Duggan. I've only got 2 of the books here. I haven't read the 3rd one yet, but I'm really excited to get my hands on it. This is the first book, A Place Called Perfect, and this begins when a young girl named Violet moves to this new town called Perfect with her family. They move because her dad is like an expert eye doctor and everyone in this town seems to be going blind. Everyone in this town also behaves very strangely, and Violet notices that her mother has begun to behave strangely since they've moved as well. Her dad then disappears and she meets a boy named Boy and finds out that her dad isn't the only one to have disappeared, and it's about these two becoming friends and trying to solve this fantastical, strange, eerie mystery together. It's a really fantastic middle grade series, and I would describe it as like a melting pot of a series of unfortunate events, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, a little bit of Roald Dahl, and like a little bit of Coraline, with a very sort of Tim Burton aesthetic. Plus the covers are gorgeous, which always helps, especially with a middle grade book. I also want to recommend Multitudes by Lucy Caldwell. This is a short story collection made up of 11 stories written over a number of years. Some of them are set in Belfast, some of them are set in London, but I think all of the experiences in these stories are grounded in a sense of Irishness. Stories about longing and desire, and also a sense of belonging or lack thereof. One of the stories that really stayed with me is about a group of teenage girls who are kind of obsessed with their Spanish teacher, and it's about what happens when one of the girls takes this obsession too far. They're all beautifully written, they all have really intimate moments, and I think in being so specific with her detail in storytelling, Lucy Caldwell is able to convey such universal experiences. I would really recommend this collection for fans of Emer McBride. I also want to recommend The Blood Miracles by Lisa McInerney. Now, the book that this is a companion to, The Glorious Heresies, I wouldn't necessarily say is underrated. It did win the Women's Prize for Fiction a few years ago, but I think the response to The Blood Miracles was a bit more muted. This book can be read independently to The Glorious Heresies, but it takes one of the characters from that book, Ryan Cusack, and now tells his story when he is 20 years old. The first book follows more characters. It's set in Cork and it's all about the complicated relationships and community. It follows a lot of the gritty crime scene. This book definitely focuses on that aspect of the book a lot more. Like, there's far less warmth than I would say there is in The Glorious Heresies. It definitely focuses more in on the darker elements. Ryan has very poor mental health. He's forced into very difficult, dangerous situations. I take so many issues with narratives and stories that paint Ireland as this kind of idyllic, peaceful, quaint place, and I think this book is the perfect antidote to that. I think Of course, if you like the Glorious Heresies, then I would recommend you check out the Blood Miracles. But I think if you like Train Spotting, then this, I think, is like the closest Irish version to that. Finally, I want to recommend Felicias Journey by William Trevor. I read this one back in secondary school, and I haven't actually reread it since. I think I'm probably due a reread of it because it was such a gripping read. This book follows 17-year-old Felicia, who is pregnant. She had a very brief relationship with, I think he's an English soldier named Johnny. So she goes over to England, she goes to Birmingham to try and find him, tell him that she is pregnant, but she is instead found by a canteen worker named Mr. Hilditch, who seems to have a habit of taking in young girls that have nowhere to go. Throughout this book, you are really uncertain about whether you can trust him, and the twist in this book will have you on the edge of your seat. I don't even really know what to compare this book to. It just completely gripped me. Looking at this now, I'm surprised by how short it was. I think, you know, when you read books in school and you read them over like such a long time, like sometimes you're getting through like a chapter per class or something, and then maybe reading like 2 chapters at home. So I'm actually really surprised by how short this novel is and how gripping it was for such a small page count. So they are my underrated Irish books. Do leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've read any of them, or leave any recommendations that you have down in the comments as well. Let me know if you've been participating in the Irish Readathon and what book you have enjoyed the most. I would love to share thoughts with you down in the comments. I hope you guys are staying safe, keeping well, and I will talk to you in my next video.